This is a 2020 Ducati Monster 821 Stealth Edition. And if you are young, got a couple of extra bucks, and are looking to get into the Ducati world, this is the perfect bike to start on. Matty Motorcycle, welcome back, family. This monster is arguably the first naked bike ever produced. Well, not this monster, but the Monster family. First naked bike ever produced. Ducati started making these in 1993, and since then they've moved over 250,000 units of this motorcycle. It's their longest running continuous brand name. Obviously they make super bikes, but those change every couple years. Obviously they make bigger bikes, but those change every couple years also. Monster has been consistent. Now, this is their entry-level motorcycle. The 821, this has a big brother called the 1200, which borrows a detuned superbike engine. This engine, very manageable, very friendly to new riders. And as we're gonna find out, the addition of all the modern technology makes this thing super easy to ride. And you can get into this Ducati game for 12,000 bucks, which is a deal by any motorcycle standard. Just to go over some specs, you got an 821cc L twin, putting out 109 horsepower, 63 foot-pounds of torque, and this thing weighs less than 450 pounds, soaking wet with liquids. So let me tell you, super easy, great way to start you off. Let's see what's new for 2020. So the new parts for 2020. Monsters have been coming out for years. Let's see what's different. First off, the emissions. This bike is still Euro 4 compliant, which means more power with less effort. You only have one big cat on this bike, and it's in this big fat exhaust can, which is super easy to take off. We'll show you the points where you just undo a couple of bolts, put on a little shorty, make this thing sound 10 times better, and get rid of those big heavy cats. Probably save about 25 pounds just by taking that can off. Then the engine is now a stress member of this bike. You got a little subframe in the front, little subframe in the back, and it's bolted directly to the engine heads, which will save you some weight, a little bit of lbs, but makes this thing a little more delicate if you were to tip it over. Like we said, this is their entry-level bike. If you get one, make sure you pop some insurance on it. This might not fall down and crash as well as some of the older, more robust monsters. The next thing they did was separate the passenger and pilot foot pegs. Usually on the older monsters, you had this one block of aluminum that had both of the pegs attached to it, so you could never really get rid of the passenger pegs. Now you can totally take them off, couple of bolts just like on their super bikes, and you got this really great passenger cowl that covers up the seat. Really sharp look. Pop on a fender eliminator, and the butt end of this bike is gonna look amazing. Couple that with getting rid of the exhaust can, and you got a really light, sharp looking machine. Then they added on the TFT dash off of all their bikes, and let me tell you, it is super easy to navigate. One button, arrows up and down, changing from sport to touring to rain, super easy. This bike now comes with the different rider modes, the different power modes, the traction control, the ABS, and you can turn it all on and off. Add as much intervention as you would like, especially to my new riders out there who are gonna get on this thing. It's got safety nets all over. And then my experienced guys who are just looking for something to rip around on a Sunday morning, turn it all off, drift the back end, have yourself a time. It comes with also a quick shifter and an auto blipper. We're going to get into a little bit that's not so perfect right now. On this particular bike, it's the first model year that they've decided to add that stuff on. All the bugs aren't quite worked out, but that matters not, because you have this incredible stealth paint job. We got matted black paint everywhere. The wheels have these really great bright orange stickers on them. Say 821, let everybody know you're coming and what you got. This thing has it all. On top of the fact, you have this not fully adjustable, but the 43mm forks in the front. You can add preload. Same thing with the shock in the back. The ride is a little stiff to begin with, but you can take out a little preload, make it a little more plush. You really got yourself an incredible motorcycle for not that much money. Moving right along. Just a quick side note, I want to point out this clip that Ducati put for 2020 on the gas can. What this does is you can unclip it and pull the gas can off comparatively easy from using an Allen key to do the bolts. You still have to take the seat off and unbolt it from underneath the seat as well. It's cool, it's aluminum. I don't fully get it because you still have to use an Allen key to take everything else off, but as far as a cool thing that people are gonna notice and go, hey, what's that do? And you're gonna go, I don't know, it's a Ducati thing. But it's there, and I guess it's cool. So moving along. Now on to my riding impressions. This bike is a gem. Very forgiving, very easy to control and manipulate. The power delivery is surprisingly sharp. Coming off a corner or just getting out of a stoplight, you do feel a good push of torque. It feels like a little bit more than just 63 foot-pounds of it. This L-twin engine delivers the power very early in the RPM range. At about 3 grand, you have 80% of your torque. Super, super lively bike. Get you used to the Ducati family and get you ready to move up to a superbike in just a couple of years. The gears, however, are very long, which means not a lot of shifting. So you can be in gear 2 and 3, knock out all those back road riding, get a great little sound, be right in the middle of the rev range as far as the RPMs are concerned, and have a really rewarding experience. This bike definitely makes you feel like you're on something big, mean, nasty. That's why they call it the Monster. However, the riding position is a little awkward. The reach from the foot pegs to the seat is real tight. So if you got big long legs and big feet, like some of the goons I know giving these reviews, your legs are gonna be a little bit cramped, but the reach to the bar is really long. So I personally was in this really funny cock forward, but squished leg, arm position, body position, riding position. It's not uncomfortable, but if you're gonna go on a super long ride, I could see how that would make you a little bit weird. Then the way the seat is shaped, you gotta have your butt a little bit further back, and every time you hop forward, it's just not, I couldn't get happy. Wherever my butt was, I just wasn't all the way right. But to tell you the truth, most of the time the riding experience was so engaging, I was paying attention to what was going on, not necessarily where my butt is. Now, the suspension is firm. You definitely feel the road underneath you, which is good and bad because it gives you the feedback that you want, but the second you hit a little bit of bumps or it gets a little bit rocky, you're definitely gonna know you're on something sporty rather than something plush and cruiser-esque. Then, we have some things, this is the entry-level Ducati, so some things are just okay. For instance, the turn-in, it's okay, not super sharp, not super quick. It is predictable, but it's not gonna knock your socks off as far as its flickability. Then the brakes, they're okay, nothing crazy. I personally would switch out the Master because you do have the M4s on it, which are a great set of calipers, but I think the real issue is in the feel, in the brakes. You gotta really squeeze it hard to get the kind of bite that I like. You might be different, and especially a new rider's not gonna know much better. This thing will still stop you just fine. And then the sound. It sounds okay. Not anything that's gonna be groundbreaking. I'm sure once you take that big heavy can off, it'll sound a lot better. Let's take pause and listen. That sound you heard, like I said, it's okay, not groundbreaking, just fine. Then we have the gearbox. It's really my only gripe with this bike. I caught false neutrals everywhere. The quick shifter, I feel like just either it isn't plugged in tight enough, but you really gotta kick it up and down, really working hard, and the way your feet are on the pegs, it just wasn't a happy way to kick the gear apart. I found myself kicking into neutral a whole bunch, particularly first into second and then second down into first. It just was clunky and a little bit old is what it felt like. It just didn't feel as refined as some of their bigger bikes, which again, this is entry level. I guess if you're used to kicking this thing hard and then you go get on a V4 Superbike, it's gonna feel night and day. But that's what you pay for, that's what you want. And then the last gripe that I have is definitely going to be these mirrors. I don't know if Ducati did it on purpose to get the Ducatista used to looking at their elbows, but that is all you can see out of these mirrors, particularly the muscular position that you're in, kind of cocked forward with your elbows out. That's all you see in the mirrors, just like some of their Superbikes. I think if you have a upright naked, maybe you can make these a little bit longer and higher so you can see what's behind you, maybe next to you, rather than just looking at how cool your jacket armor is. Folks, Matty Motorcycle, I'm super happy with this bike, and anybody out there, if you're looking to get into the Ducati game, this thing is where it's at. Go ahead, go shopping, go nuts. Please like, subscribe, and share this video. We'll see you every Friday. Take care.